Hello, and welcome to this virtual concert by Midsummer's Music. I'm Lisa Flynn from Classical WFMT in Chicago. For many summers now, I've been going up to Door County and always have looked forward to attending concerts by Midsummer's Music. So I'm missing out on the live music just like you, but thrilled to be a part of this virtual season. We would like to thank the following sponsors for the Soaring Spirits program that we're presenting today: Jim and Jean Birkenstock and Sandy Zingler and Barb Johnson, and also the Miller Art Museum where this concert is being recorded. You can view the Midsummer's Music e-program book, complete with programs and notes, by going to midsummersmusic.com and clicking on the virtual events button at the top of the page. We also invite you to participate in the online fundraising gala, which is going to be hosted by Eric Lewis on October 10th, and that will include the auction of 10 violins that have been decorated by Door County artists, plus other silent auction items. And if you feel moved to contribute to Midsummer's Music and make a tax-deductible donation, that can be made at midsummersmusic.com. Midsummer's Music has always been known for the diversity of its programming, sharing with audiences many seldom heard treasures right next to the great masterworks of chamber music, and this virtual season is no different. This year, they're showcasing works by women composers and composers of color, and especially on this program, Soaring Spirits, where we'll hear works by three composers of color: George Walker, Samuel Coleridge-Taylor, and Florence Price. We start off with the music of George Walker, his Lyric for Strings, which is actually a movement from his string quartet. This is a piece that packs an emotional punch in a short amount of time. It is the best-known work by George Walker, who was influential as a pianist and composer over a long career. He lived from 1922 to 2018. Walker achieved many firsts as a black artist. He was the first black pianist to solo with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the first person of color to receive a doctor's degree from the Eastman School of Music, and among his many awards, he was the first black composer to win the Pulitzer Prize in 1966. Like his contemporary Samuel Barber, Walker wrote a string quartet that would be overshadowed by one of its movements. If you know Barber's famous Adagio for strings, it began movement as a movement from his string quartet and was later arranged for a string orchestra. And Walker's Lyric for Strings was born as the second movement of his string quartet. It was originally titled Lament and was dedicated to his grandmother, who had recently died. And Walker made a version for string orchestra and named it Lyric, and it soon took on a life of its own. But we're going to hear the original string quartet movement, which is marked Molto Adagio. Here's the music of George Walker with violinist David Perry and Ann Palen, violist Allyson Fleck, and cellist Paula Kosower. The next work on the Soaring Spirits program is from Samuel Coleridge-Taylor, who was an English composer of mixed European and African descent. He achieved acclaim and success in the early years of the 20th century, but he died tragically young at the age of 37 in 1912. He was born in 1875 in London and was named after the famous poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He attended the Royal Academy of Music at the age of 15. He started as a violinist and then eventually changed over to composition. And among his early champions were Charles Villiers Stanford and Edward Elgar. Coleridge-Taylor's greatest success was his cantata Hiawatha's Wedding Feast, which was incredibly popular and widely performed by choral groups all across England during his lifetime and in the immediate decades after his death. In fact, it said its popularity was rivaled only by Handel's Messiah and Mendelssohn's Elijah. The success of Hiawatha's Wedding Feast led him to embark in 3 tours of the United States, and he was so well received that in 1904 he was invited by President Theodore Roosevelt to visit the White House. And he developed a deep love for the United States. He even seriously considered moving here. And it was while he was here in the U.S. and his time afterwards that his works began to explore his own African heritage. Many of his compositions were influenced by traditional African music, and this made him one of the most progressive writers of his time. The work that we're going to hear today is a set of fantasy pieces, Opus 5 for string quartet, written in 1895. So this was while he was still a student at the Royal Conservatory of Music. Each movement has its own distinctive character, and it really gives it the feel of a suite. The movements are prelude, serenade, humoresque, minuet, and finale. And I think you'll hear that this music is very rich and has warm harmonies and melodies. And you can tell that he was a very talented string player. He started off as a violinist, and he writes wonderfully for the instruments. Here now are the fantasy pieces, Opus 5 by Samuel Coleridge-Taylor, with violinist David Perry and Anne Palen, violist Allyson Fleck, and cellist Paula Kosower. Thanks so much for joining us for this program called Soaring Spirits, presented by Midsummer's Music. I'm Lisa Flynn from Classical WFMT in Chicago. Join us next week for the program New Voices, and that will feature a composition by Midsummer's Music composer in residence, Jacob Baranek, and the piece is Piano Trio Number 1, titled Midsummer. Jacob will also be the host of the program, and there's also music of Erling Patrick Horn, his Black Tango for Piano Quartet, and the Piano Quintet by Reynaldo Hahn.